ever wonder what it really takes to become a rock legend? Not just the fame, the flashy concerts, or the sold-out albums, but the grit, the struggle, and the sheer determination behind it all? The Rolling Stones are one of those bands whose story feels like a wild ride of passion, rebellion, and unforgettable music. And if you've ever heard Paint It Black, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, turns out plenty, as Anthony Mason recently discovered.
On tour, so there was a deadline, and then we more or less...
A song that didn't just top charts, but changed how people saw rock music forever. So let me take you back to where it all started, the struggles they faced, and how this iconic track became a symbol of a generation. Ready? Let's go. The humble beginnings. The story of the Rolling Stones begins in London in the early 1960s, when rock and roll was still young, and the world was ready for something raw and different.
What we said we planned to do, it's always been Charlie.
On some level, it had to be emotional, not to...
Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Charlie Watts, Brian Jones, and Bill Wyman weren't born rock stars. These were kids from working-class backgrounds, each with their own struggles, but all sharing one big dream: to make music that mattered. Imagine this. London was buzzing with new energy after the tough post-war years. The Beatles were already making waves, and the music scene was competitive and electric. The Rolling Stones had to fight hard just to get noticed. Early gigs were small, the pay was little, and sometimes they faced sneers instead of cheers. But the band had something special, a rebellious spirit and a deep love for blues and rock that connected with the youth. The city was alive, but not always kind to young dreamers.
I asked Mick, because he's 6 months older than me.
Yes.
I think we love each other and we love our music.
The Stones played in tiny clubs, sweating under dim lights, their sound raw and unpolished. Yet the energy they brought was magnetic. They weren't trying to please the crowd with safe, sanitized tunes. They wanted to shake things up, make noise, and be heard. That hunger, that fire, set them apart from many others trying to climb the ladder of fame. Breaking through the noise. What set the Rolling Stones apart wasn't just their music, it was their attitude. They were the bad boys of rock when everyone else was still playing it safe. By the mid-60s, the band was already climbing the charts with hits like "I Can't Get No Satisfaction." But the journey was far from easy. Behind the scenes, they battled personal struggles, band tensions, and the pressure to keep producing hits. The music industry was brutal. Fame came with its own demons. Yet, in this storm of challenges, creativity sparked. It was in this intense environment that Paint It Black was born. This wasn't just another song. It was a statement.
After 6 decades, dozens of albums, and scores of hits, more could the Rolling Stones possibly have to say.
The Stones had already gained a reputation for pushing boundaries, but Paint It Black took that to a new level. The making of Paint It Black. Released in 1966, Paint It Black wasn't just another rock song. It was a bold experiment that pushed musical boundaries. The haunting sitar riff, played by Brian Jones, gave it a unique sound that blended Eastern influences with Western rock, something pretty rare back then. This mix created an exotic, almost hypnotic atmosphere that set the track apart from everything else on the radio. The song's dark and powerful lyrics, combined with that driving rhythm, captured the feelings of loss, anger, and searching that many young people were feeling during the turbulent 60s. The words spoke of seeing the world in black after losing someone, that deep pain and emptiness. But beyond personal grief, it reflected a wider cultural shift. The 1960s were a time of political unrest, social upheaval, and the breaking down of old norms. Paint It Black echoed that collective mood of rebellion and change. What's amazing is how the band took a simple idea and turned it into a timeless classic. It was raw, emotional, and unapologetically real. The song didn't shy away from darkness, it embraced it. And that honesty struck a chord with listeners everywhere. It wasn't just a tune to dance to. It was music to think about, to feel deeply. Cultural impact and legacy. Paint It Black didn't just top the charts in the UK and US. It crossed borders, influencing countless artists and becoming a staple in movies, TV shows, and even video games. Its unique sound opened doors for rock music to experiment more with different instruments and styles. Suddenly, the sitar, once a rare and exotic instrument to Western ears, found a place in mainstream rock. This song showed that rock could be more than just loud guitars and catchy beats. It could tell stories that made you think and feel deeply. Its impact rippled through generations. Bands that followed drew inspiration from the Stones' fearless approach to blending cultures and sounds. The Rolling Stones themselves became symbols of resilience. They survived decades of changing music trends, personal ups and downs, and controversies. Yet they kept reinventing themselves. Their story teaches us that success isn't about never failing. It's about how you bounce back and keep pushing forward. They weren't perfect. Far from it. There were rocky moments, bad decisions, and tough times. What we can learn from their journey. If you look closely, the Rolling Stones' path is full of lessons. They started with nothing but a dream and a passion. They faced rejection, criticism, and personal struggles, but never gave up on their vision. Paint It Black represents not just a song, but a mindset. Embracing your pain, expressing your truth, and turning darkness into art. Their journey reminds us that true creativity comes from being fearless. When the band blended different musical styles and tackled difficult themes, they risked alienating listeners. But instead, they connected with millions because they were honest and bold. There's something inspiring about their refusal to settle. The Stones didn't follow trends, they set them. They didn't sugarcoat their experiences, they shared the raw truth. That's a powerful message for anyone chasing dreams, whether in music, art, or life. Final thoughts. The Rolling Stones' story, and the power behind Paint It Black, is a timeless reminder that music can move mountains. It can challenge the status quo, inspire change, and help us face our own struggles. Whether you're an artist, a dreamer, or just someone looking for a bit of motivation, their journey shows that with passion, resilience, and a bit of rebellion, you can paint your own path, even if the world around you feels dark. So next time you hear that sitar riff kick in, remember the story behind it. Remember a band of young Londoners who dared to be different and created something unforgettable. And hey, can you state like, share, and subscribe to my channel?